Hey guys, my name is Christian and welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to be going over how to install the CV Fabrication high mount intercooler kit. This is going on my 2021 Limited, F-150 Limited, but the process overall is going to be the same from 2015 to 2023. When I was going down the rabbit hole for performance upgrades for these Ecoboost trucks, Ford is kind of known for putting small heat exchangers or intercoolers on them. That's one thing that will become a problem in summer climates and when you're towing. These intercoolers are air to air, so it's all about surface area to cool that air down. Going through that research process, one company that came up over and over was CV Fabrication. My wife used to own a 2022 Explorer ST, and we had done some upgrades to that car. And so I knew of CV Fab from owning that vehicle. And my friend Tyler Clark he's really well known in the Explorer space and has run a lot of their products for a really long time. And they've always had great things to say about CV Fab. So a few months ago, I reached out to CV Fab and they were kind enough to send out a huge box of goodies for the F-150, and we finally got them on the truck. So full disclosure, this kit was sponsored, but in no way will that change my opinion or the review once this kit's installed. And I do have an affiliate link, so check the description for that. Really supports the channel. And you can also use the code AdventureDuty to save on whatever you order at CV Fab. So a huge thank you to CV Fabrication, and let's get into the install. We took the truck to my friend Tim's shop and he was a massive help with this install. Now you can do this with hand tools in your driveway or in your garage, but for the sake of time, we used a lift, and an extra set of hands is certainly gonna help with this. This kit was pretty tight fit, especially the couplers and clamps, so I'd say if you're alone or doing it on the ground, this will take a while, so plan accordingly. We started by disconnecting the battery once the truck was on the lift, and the first thing we did was remove the stock intercooler. That way we can compare the two and show some of the differences between OEM and the CV Fab unit. There are two hoses on the passenger side and one on the driver's side, as well as the recirc valve and line, so that'll need to be disconnected, and there will likely be some residual oil in the passenger side, so be prepared for that. Have some gloves, some iPro. And that recirculation line was kind of a pain. You just twist the fitting and pull it apart. But again, it kind of fought us. Then you'll just undo the bolts and the intercooler bracket will drop right out, and you'll reuse the OEM top and bottom grommets. So make sure you set those aside once you have the intercooler out. Also, make sure you're wearing some kind of eye protection because these trucks absolutely will sneak attack you in the face. Now what we have is CV Fab's Titan high mount intercooler, and what this will do is relocate the intercooler from inside the bumper to up behind the grill, and that's going to free up a whole lot of room for activities in the future. And we'll do some street testing, but some of the hard facts you can obviously see are 70% more core volume compared to stock with high flow cast end tanks instead of plastic. Plus it's made in America and has a lifetime warranty. Next, we remove the grill shutters. Since the intercooler is removed, there's no point in keeping them. The shroud is just clipped into place all the way around, and the shutters are flexible enough that if you just use a flathead screwdriver, they'll pop out of the notch where they sit. Now it's on to removing the radiator cover and the grill. So you'll see some plastic push pins on top of the grill. Just use a pry tool or a flathead, pop those out. There's, I think, 10, maybe 12 of them across the top. And once you get those off, pull the radiator cover, and then you'll see the 4 bolts holding the grill on. For the valence, there are 2 bolts on each side. You'll gently pry the corners off and over, and the valence pulls off the front of the truck. This can be, depending on how new your truck is, it can be kind of tough. You're not gonna hurt it. Just make sure you're not pulling like a maniac and everything will be fine. There's a wire harness next to the hood latch that you'll disconnect, then remove the bottom grill bolts, and with some pulling, it should just pop straight out. You can see here it kind of tilted forward and came up at an angle, at least on my truck. I don't know if that's different for other trims with different grills, but this is how it was for the Limited. And I'm not sure if this is necessary, but it definitely helped to disconnect the fog light and sensor power harness just for the extra room when you're trying to do clamps, tighten them down, move the couplers around, things like that. With this project, we're removing all the shutters off the truck, and now it's time for the grill. Same deal as the bumper, everything clicks into place and is flexible. So just get a flathead or a fastener tool and pop them out. There was a large flat rubber piece attached to the underside of the grill, and we didn't keep that either. I don't know what that's for or what purpose it served, but we got rid of it. And here's the shutter actuator motor. Make sure you keep this thing when you remove it. We'll be reconnecting this later just to avoid any codes. And then it's time to cut the grill. So you can use whatever you like, jigsaw, router, Dremel, Sawzall. The router wasn't the cleanest, but it was the fastest, and this is all hidden anyway, so it didn't really matter. You can see just how much we cut out of the grill, just in front of that center shutter tower, and as wide as the intercooler. You can hold the grill up and kind of eyeball it. Nothing really needs to be precise. Just make sure you don't cut out the clips that retain the bumper valance and that you don't take too much out of the grill for some structural integrity. The upper mount for the intercooler uses the same location and bolts as the hood latch. So use a paint pen or a Sharpie to mark that latch position so it goes back in the same spot. Now this lower intercooler bracket drops in and uses a bolt and washer on each side from the supplied hardware pack. Some of the hardware was unlabeled and we didn't know what was what, but after some looking and playing Jenga and Legos, we could figure out where everything went. Once you have that bracket installed and then torqued down, there wasn't a torque spec or anything, we just got it pretty tight, couple ooga-doogas. You'll put the OEM grommets that you set aside earlier onto the bracket, and then you'll bolt up the bracket and hood latch, and that bracket goes in front of the hood latch. So now it's time to get started running all the piping back on the truck. Start with removing the factory charge pipe. There's gonna be obviously a coupler up by the throttle body, and then it's actually easier if you remove the engine cover. We ended up doing this a couple steps later, but go ahead and do it now. The easiest way to remove that charge pipe is out the bottom, so don't try and go out the top. And then once you have it out, you're going to swap over this sensor. And in that hardware pack, there's provided hardware, just find whatever fits. There's a lot of extra pieces in this kit. Some of them are used for, I'm assuming, other trims. Some of the older trucks, we didn't use all the hardware provided, so it's not like you can see what's left and see if something's missing. Now these couplers were tough. So the 45 coupler goes on the intercooler, one on each side. The small couplers go on the Y pipe, and then the bulged coupler goes on the bottom of the charge pipe and connects to the blow-off valve tube. These couplers were a tight fit, so make sure you have those hose clamps in place when you put the couplers on, but also keep them loose. Some of the clamps were so tight that we couldn't use the springs and just had to put the nylock nut back on and send it. And so this is where we remove the engine cover. Like I said, go ahead and take it off earlier. But after a 2,500 mile road trip from Oklahoma to Detroit and back, all the couplers, all the clamps, everything was still tight and we had zero issues. So if you're not able to use that spring and get it to fit, I would say don't worry about it. And the nylock nut is gonna be just fine. Now here's a big one. So there's a solid aluminum plug included with the blow-off valve, and that is for your recirc hose. But if you do that, it leaves that pipe just dangling in front of the engine and resting on the charge pipe. So I chose to completely remove it from the intake pipe and cover it using the supplied rubber cap and an extra hose clamp we had laying around. Don't forget to put your blow-off valve in the blow-off valve tube. So the thing just twists on there, plug it in, it's all plug and play, it goes together one way. You can't really mess that up. And so once all the connections are tight and everything is secured, you're ready to put the grill on and the valence back on and hear how it sounds. One thing we didn't get on video was plugging in the grill shutter actuator. Just plug it in and zip tie it up out of the way behind the intercooler. Mine is actually by the horns, and I think I may have a photo of it. If I do, I'll throw that on screen.
No way. Oh man. That's cool. Okay, that right there is worth it.
Up next, I'll be doing a video on the suspension and tire setup, some issues that we ran into and things we found out on this truck. So if you want to see that future content, I hope you consider subscribing if you found this video helpful. You can find me on Instagram at Adventure Duty. And again, huge thank you to CV Fabrication for sending this kit out. There's an affiliate code in the description box below. That'll really help out the channel. And there's also a discount code that I'll throw up on the screen. So it's just Adventure Duty, and you can save on whatever you order at CVFab. So thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.